This Fan Run podcast is brought to you by DraftKings.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. DraftKings is kicking off another week of action by giving new customers a can't-miss offer. Just bet $1 on any football game this week and receive $150 in free bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code FANRUN in all caps to receive $150 in free bets instantly when you place a $1 bet on any football game. That's promo code FANRUN in all caps. This week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older, Tennessee only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
Fan Run Radio presents The Voluntary Reaction. You've watched the game. Now, let's talk about it. To get on board, call 865-546-8200. This is The Voluntary Reaction. Raw, unfiltered, real. The Voluntary Reaction starts now.
Welcome into the Voluntary Reaction. Feels good to do one. After a big win, Tennessee with an emphatic, huge road victory. Josh Heupel needed it. Josh Heupel and the boys went and got it. Game still got a couple of garbage time minutes to go, although let's face it, most of the second half has been garbage time. That's what happens when you hang up 40-plus in the first half. Dominant performance from Tennessee. We knew Missouri could not stop the run. We knew their defense was a little soft. I didn't know it was going to be that bad. They exceeded expectations with their ineptitude. I'm John Reed, Davey Hudson, behind the board, taking your phone calls on the G3 Help Me hotlines, 865-546-8200. We are off and running in the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios. Davey, how are you, my friend?
Doing well, John. Yourself?
Feels good to be doing this show after a win.
Yeah, there was a lot of outcomes that I predicted for today. I don't think a 30-point beatdown was one of them for the Vols. But I'll take it, man. No complaints.
I thought you pretty much knew it was over from the beginning.
And Joe Milton just takes off right there. I mean,
good for Joe Milton. I question why Joe Milton was ever the starter. That was one of my takeaways, is like, why is Joe Milton the starter? Why did he play against Pittsburgh? But I digress. Hendon Hooker, pretty solid quarterback. You can win some games with Hendon Hooker. You can beat the teams that you are supposed to beat. He's not going to beat Florida, as you saw. He's not going to beat Georgia. He's not going to beat Alabama. There are very few quarterbacks in the world who could take this Tennessee team and beat those teams. He's not one of them. No flame to him. But you can go and take Hendon Hooker on the road at Missouri and beat the hell out of them. We saw that today. You can have Hendon Hooker come home to Neyland Stadium next week, honor Al Wilson, and beat the hell out of South Carolina. I think you'll see that next week. You can win some games with Hendon Hooker as your starting quarterback. We saw that today. 865-546-8200 if you want to weigh in. Do we have the Periscope fired up? I haven't seen it come across on
it's fired up. It's lagging a little bit.
Okay, you just want me to end it over here? Just want to punt on that? We can. It's just, I was wondering.
We can keep going. I mean, it's showing up that it's recording on my end, but the camera might be a little bit of a
I haven't seen
issue.
it. Yeah, I haven't moved on the screen in a while. I never saw the tweet come across the timeline.
It's your call, man.
I mean, have you done like on the back end of the Twitter thing?
Yeah, oh yeah,
back
end's good.
Okay, I just didn't see it, fire off. If it's on, it's not going to hurt anything. I just was wondering if we were promoting it. But let's go to the G3 Help Me hotline. So what do we got up first?
We got Josh up first.
What's up, Josh? The floor is yours.
How we doing, John? How we doing, Dave? Hope y'all are doing well. Two things. First and foremost, man, if you're a Milton guy, been real tough to watch today because Hooker just looks like the clear-cut number one guy for Tennessee. Really happy for him. Glad he's doing well. And the second thing, I think the whole fan base is really quick to jump on Jeremy Banks' case every time he does something that's not too smart. So just want to shout out Jeremy Banks for having a good game today.
Hey.
Also, Aaron Beasley had a great game. So
best game of
both
Jeremy
of them.
Banks' career by far. You are 100% right about that, Josh. He made some big plays early and looked pretty good out there. You're right. Give him his flowers.
Well, I mean, I think you got to give credit to the entire Tennessee staff for making sure that the team was not committing stupid penalties. As of right now,
Yep.
I know we still got 3 minutes left in the fourth, but only 2 penalties for 20 yards.
Yep. It was late in the first half, like 2 or 3 minutes left before you had your first penalty. That was also a good job by the coaching staff to clean that up. When you think of unnecessary penalties, usually Jeremy Banks falls in that line. But Josh is right. Give him his props. He played pretty well, as did kind of all of the linebackers. You know, the linebackers have been much maligned all year. No Juwan Mitchell. Wasn't really a problem today. Tennessee's linebackers made plays they needed to make. Anything else, Josh?
That about covers it. Yeah, really happy with the way we were able to keep a cool head, even when Missouri kind of chippy there for a little bit. Of course, I probably would too if I was down about 38 points. But that's about it. Go Vols. Appreciate your all show, and we'll see you next week for South Carolina.
Yes, sir. Appreciate the phone call, Josh. Thanks
Thank you,
for
buddy.
getting us off and running on the G3 Help Me hotlines. Again, 865-546-8200 if you want to weigh in. Had to feel bad for Missouri like halfway through the second quarter. They weren't wanting to be out there playing
I think we got another
defense.
touchdown, John. Just as you're saying it, another touchdown for the Vols. Going to move into the 60-point category. Walk-on Pierce. Shouts out to him
Hey,
for
good
getting
for
that
him.
one. Marcus, 27-yard touchdown run.
Marcus Pierce Jr., he was the one that got, he got robbed on the goal line earlier, right? Was that him that they robbed on the goal line?
There was multiple times a Tennessee player got robbed, so I would assume he was probably one of them.
Good for him to get some run and good for him to get in the end zone. That's pretty cool. You love whenever you're able to handle a blowout. Ramel Keaton out there throwing a block. Love to see it. Missouri had no interest in playing defense or tackling for much of the game.
All the game.
Yeah. I wonder at what point they're like, can we just forfeit? Can we just go home?
What was it, 28-3 at the end of the first?
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, if you're looking for betting nuggets for Tennessee moving forward, again, this is, I think, the 4th straight week. Josh Heupel's covered the first quarter spread, making a lot of money there. I mean, today you were up 28-3, as I just mentioned, but that's one of the things to where he comes out, the team's at least ready early on. They didn't let their foot off the gas today, but first quarter been something to really behold for the Tennessee Volunteers this season whenever you're just looking at lines.
Yeah, was it something? Missouri having fun. I saw, one
Sorry.
board where the guy was just like, I'm sad standing up holding it, and now they have put, we want Vandy. If you're Missouri and you go to the game, at least have some fun, I guess. That's what they're doing.
John, you know who the defensive coordinator is for Missouri, don't you?
Name slips me now, but it was Steve Wilkes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The fact that a guy who was a NFL head coach a couple of years ago is leading that defense right now was very discouraging just across the board, man. Like I don't see how you fall that far.
I mean, Steve Wilkes was the guy who got fired in 1 year at Arizona, right?
Yeah. Josh Rosen didn't go too well. Probably shouldn't have gotten the job in the first place,
Yeah.
but man,
He didn't think it could get worse from getting fired in 1 year, and then he had to coach this Missouri defense. I would imagine that he will not be coaching the Missouri defense as of this time tomorrow. I would anticipate they will have a new defensive coordinator, or at least be on the official hunt for a new defensive coordinator. Tennessee kicked their ass from the jump, forced a quick 3-and-out, and then, scored 5 plays later. A dime from Hendon Hooker to Peyton, hit him right in the hands. It was a beautiful catch. It was a beautiful throw. It was a thing of beauty. 865-546-8200. If you want to go ahead and start promoting that on Twitter, fire it out. Some people might not see the video and might not think we're here. I don't know. Maybe people don't like celebrating the wins as much as they like complaining about the losses. I'm as guilty of it as anyone. But today, savor the flavor. You're back to 500 in the SEC. Davey said that was Josh Heupel's first win as an underdog. We love to see that. And it's a nice little win streak against a Missouri team. Or it starts you're back to what, 500 against them now? They'd kind of had your number early on when they got to the SEC. Now you've won a couple in a row against them. I don't want to say like that's your rival right now, but you want to be better than Missouri. Like that's always kind of the coach's first goal here at Tennessee, right? I know sometimes we get caught saying, hey, we got to catch Florida. We've got to catch Alabama. We got to catch Georgia. And eventually you do. Although, let's face it, they are setting the bar pretty high as programs. We all know that. Hopefully Tennessee can catch them. Hopefully they come back to earth a little bit. But for realistic expectations and realistic goals, it should always be, hey, let's make sure we're beating Vanderbilt. Let's make sure we're beating Missouri. Let's be ahead of South Carolina. Don't laugh. Don't scoff. But, let's take care of Kentucky. Let's make sure we're ahead of Mark Stoops and the boys. Those are the teams that you're going to be competing with over the next couple years. Those are the ones you have to be better than. And Tennessee made a big statement against Drinkowitz. He is 0-2 against Tennessee. Really been beaten down both times, so that's good. You feel good. Now we look beautiful, Davey. Excellent change. Let me know when you want me to hit this red button. You should be able to come home, take advantage of South Carolina, and quite frankly, I think you should have the most attended game of the year to date. It's not a high benchmark, 82,000, but you should see some more fans in the crowd next week. I know it's another noon game, right? That's fine, I understand. Shouldn't be hot next week. And I think after the performance they put on the road today at Missouri, there should be more people showing up to watch this team. The games are still painfully long. I'm not going to hold you there. But it was fun to score some points, man. It was. When this offense is clicking, it is a thing of beauty. And this offense is meant to overwhelm and take over teams like Missouri. And you were able to do that. Tennessee didn't really let their foot off the gas at any point either. They were still running hurry up well into the third quarter with a 35, 40-point lead. Eight 546-8200 if you want to weigh in. We'll be here for a couple hours taking your calls. I know some people still watching the bitter end of the game. 62-24. Looking like it's going to be the final. Missouri trying to throw it into the never mind. A little dump down. They're not going to call a timeout. It is official. 62-24. Not a lot of times Tennessee has scored 60 points. A couple of times that come to mind were against Missouri, so they have their number. They can score a lot of points against them. Davey, how you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, John. I mean, like I said earlier, I did not expect this to be the outcome. This is an opportunity to where now you play South Carolina. You should easily win that game. I mean, you look at South Carolina, they've got a test against Troy this week. There's a good chance they don't even come out of there with the win. But you move to 4-2 if you beat them next week, and then you got an opportunity coming in is Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. If you can somehow screech out a win there, you're really going to get this fan base back on board, at least in my opinion. I'll be honest, so whenever I'm looking at outcomes, 5-2 after the Ole Miss game wasn't exactly something I saw being very
possible.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to phrase it. So, I mean, now you look at it. I know Alabama, Ole Miss about to kick off here, but right now you got to be feeling pretty good after an absolute you beat the fuck out of them. There's no other way to put it.
You killed them. You whipped their ass. You humiliated them. You imposed your will. All things that we don't really see Tennessee do to anybody, much less SEC opponents.
Speaking of South Carolina, they're 2 minutes away from kicking off.
Who they got today?
Troy.
Okay. They're only 7-point favorites in that game?
Unless I saw a 6.5, it could have changed there. I haven't looked at the lines much today.
Okay. But going to be a battle for them, I would say. Yeah, we got some good football getting ready to kick off. Ole Miss, Alabama. we'll see. We'll see what Ole Miss looks like. I mean, I think I'm not going to be talking about 5-2 after them. Like I'm not going that far just yet. Now I think Tennessee showed this offense has some pop. This offense might be able to keep up for a little bit with that offense at Ole Miss, but we'll see.
Yeah, we're still a ways away, but
to me that's still a loss. Now, if Ole Miss comes out and looks human against Alabama, maybe that feels a little bit more winnable. But there was a time where it looked like you wouldn't even be able to, put up points against that Ole Miss defense.
Yeah. And, again, it just goes to show you how well this offense can perform if they get an early start. And really, I mean, well, I want to take that back a little bit because the biggest thing that I've been concerned about is how does this team do in the second quarter? Today, you didn't see any lull from the first quarter, and depth has been an issue. But, again, whenever you do have a defense that's not wrapping up, I want to say we averaged at least 10 yards a play today. It was really bad, but maybe just from a confidence level, this is something that can get you going. And I would like to petition moving forward that all away games are played at noon. It seemed to work out pretty well. Josh seems to like that idea of the guys aren't sitting around at the hotel the entire day waiting to see what happens. And, I mean, today it worked out well. You got a final. I don't know if we've even said this now, but you got a final now, 62-24.
I said it, Davey.
Okay, sorry. I was doing a lot of
okay.
doing some things behind the scenes, but I mean your quarterback completes over 75% of his passes. You didn't have to put the ball in the air much, but that's been one of the biggest things is the quarterback just missing receivers.
No, and that was the most promising thing was you had Hendon Hooker hit the deep ball early in the game. He made the pass that you had to make to Peyton. Peyton came down with a beautiful catch. It looked like a competent, big-time SEC offense. Hooker really didn't have any bad overthrows. I know at one point it looked like he overthrew, big Said Tillman on a play, but then when you see the replay on the stop and go, clearly got held, missed call there. One of the few times Missouri did not have a penalty thrown on them. They were cheating and getting caught with it. They were undisciplined today. That would be a tough game to bounce back from for Missouri. They've looked bad all year. That would be one if I was a Missouri fan. I'm questioning Drinkowitz moving forward. I would be wondering, is he the right guy? I'd be talking about why the hell did you hire Steve Wilkes? What type of vision did you have for this program? What are you doing? That's how I would feel. That's how I would feel. 865-546-8200 if you want to weigh in. Again, I don't know if people know how to handle wins here.
Yeah, a little bit of uncharted waters, at least for winning in that sort of fashion. But like we said, it's a great start for Josh to go on the road and be able to do that to an SEC opponent, no matter who the opponent is.
It feels nice. It's not Vanderbilt either. If you beat Vanderbilt that way, maybe people don't get as excited. But outside of Vanderbilt, it's a win that you feel good about. It's a win that you can puff your chest out about. It's not even South Carolina. It's better than that. Now, can you follow it up against South Carolina? Can you handle success moving forward? I hope so, because you had a lot of guys playing well today. The run game looked really good. Despite being a little banged up on the offensive line, Tennessee able to kind of move the ball at their, basically at their will. I'm not saying you can do that against everybody, but you can do that against South Carolina. You could do it against them. Got the phone lines filled up, Davey. Who's up first?
We got Kevin up first.
Let's go to the G3 Help Me hotlines. What's up, Kevin? Thanks for joining the show. The floor is yours.
Hey guys, thanks. This is what, my opinion, they hired Heupel to do. Put points on the board. Defense played good today, I thought. I don't know, the only weird thing, you guys tell me, but it was defense looked strong, and then third and long, we were giving up a lot of first downs on third and long. I didn't understand that. It was kind of weird. You notice that in the first half?
Yeah, in the first quarter, they were able to kind of move the ball, on their one drive. I think they ended up with a field goal because they got, stalled out with penalties. But It did seem like 2nd and 17, 3rd and long, they were able to kind of hit the plays they needed in the secondary. This defense isn't going to be great. This is going to be a team pretty much during Heupel's entire tenure that the defense is probably going to, frustrate you at times, and it's going to have to rely on the offense. Today, you didn't have to do it because you made turnovers. You forced turnovers. You were able to hold the field goals when you had to. They kind of kept shooting themselves in the foot with penalties, but you are right. In the first quarter, they were able to kind of frustrate you and pick up some long first downs.
Well, I thought this is what I'm looking for right here, and I don't understand the line on this game. Because a lot of people were saying, this was a 50-50 game. I mean, we were what? I got Tennessee like plus 3.5 on DraftKings, and I bet
Whoa, we're a FanDuel family. All right, we got DraftKings too.
Oh, we do. We have them both.
Okay, yeah.
Either or. Yeah.
My bad.
No, we got them both.
But yeah,
I bet my house payment on it. I'm like, I don't understand that, and I still don't understand that line. I'm like, shit, baby, let's put the house payment on it. She's like, okay, if you're sure. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. And
find you a woman who trusts you like Kevin's woman trusts him.
It started at 3.5, and then it was bet down to 2.5 by the time kickoff came. So it did seem like most of the money came in on Tennessee. Maybe it was
I don't get that line. I don't get it. I mean,
the only thing that makes sense for me is uncertainty about the quarterback position. They thought maybe it was Joe Milton, I guess, because Hooker was a little banged up. That's the only thing that made sense because, Missouri hadn't shown anything all year to make them favored over anybody, really.
Yeah, exactly. They just lost to Boston College. I mean, but hey, we got our quarterback, right? I mean,
seems like
no doubt.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, real quick, Boston College, Pittsburgh, they're pretty much on a level playing field right now, so that's probably some of the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, I get that, yeah. Well, we should have beat Pittsburgh, too.
Very true. We should have. But I guess they were thinking maybe we have that type of performance where Tennessee just doesn't come and they come out and win the game that they probably should whenever you do take a step back and you look at all the opportunities. But Tennessee made sure not to leave it up in the air and took advantage.
There was no doubt. First quarter, 28 points. I'm texting her. I'm like, shit, man. This is it. This is what we hired this guy to do right here. 28 points in the first quarter. This is what we hired him to do. I'm loving it. I'm feeling good about things, guys. Yeah. So that's it. I guess that's all I got to say.
Appreciate the phone call, Kevin. And it is how it works. If you win the game, you start feeling pretty good about yourself. Tennessee needs to win some of these games, and they did. And now Josh Heupel, can walk around feeling confident, maybe have a little bit more energy and confidence in himself when he starts calling some recruits.
That's where we need it right now. The recruiting hasn't exactly been great, so hopefully you're calling a guy up like, hey, you want to score 60 points in a game? Like, it's an SEC opponent that you were favored to lose to. I mean, you killed the over by like over 20 points. Like,
you can call in to basically any skill position player right now that you're recruiting and say, hey, did you see that performance? You let your running backs eat, the wide receivers ate, Hendon Hooker was running around, making plays. I think only had 4 incompletions. I want to say it was 15 of 19.
Yep, that's correct.
Had 70 yards on the ground, 300 total yards for him. You can call pretty much any position and say, hey, we can get you some stats here. Wide receivers are going to be open. Running backs, you see that? Just running wide open. Now, Missouri's defense obliged. They did the job they were supposed to do for you to make you look good, but still. Put some pep in your step.
As Lane chucks the headset.
Yeah, he must have said something. He must have said something he felt good about because he looked right at the camera and then chucked his headset. He must be feeling himself a little bit. All right, Dave, let's go back to the line. So we got now Hillbilly Booper.
Hillbilly Bopper.
Hillbilly Bopper. Bopper, I think, is 2.
I might have misspelled it. I was trying. A lot going on right here, John. I'm just typing away, just trying to get everything. Make sure I don't forget who's on the other lines.
Okay, let's get the Hillbilly Booper here or Bopper. What's up, Hillbilly Bopper? The floor is yours.
What's up, guys? Hey, I am going to see Booper in Atlanta tonight, so go watch the Braves chug the Mets so we can get through to this National League Championship Series. But no, guys, I'm very thrilled with the overall win, and man, it sucks living in Georgia because now you got to hear, oh, Georgia's number 1 team in the country. It just sucks. It sucks. I mean, hearing this every day from these barking dog fans down here. That okay, but do you have a national championship to prove it yet? with Kirby Smart. I don't think so.
You don't?
So, no. I mean, they got a cakewalk. I mean, they do have that. You know, they're like, oh, yeah, we're the easiest team to win against is Tennessee. I'm like, okay, Charleston Southern, okay, we'll go from there. I mean, these guys are living in a world that's not reality right now. We've been living in a real world for how many years? Too many years.
Too many.
I mean, it's just, come on, guys. I mean, being a kid growing up in the 90s, seeing our team play year in, year out, you know, we got to have some more days like today. That's all I can say, man, because it's just one of those things. Did you guys give Russ and Bear the day off?
Yeah. Russ had been covering for me basically since last year, and I was like, you know what, he's been working too hard. I'll come in and do this game. So I gave him the day off, and I guess Bear didn't want to hang out without Russell, so he didn't want to come in and hang out with us. So it's just me and Davey today.
Yeah, I was looking. You got to pick up the halftime reaction. We needed the halftime reaction today.
Russ didn't even do that either?
Oh, I think I saw a tweet about that later on, but yeah, that's that's specifically on him right there.
So he's just really taking the day off. I mean, it's fine. He deserved it, and it would have been a good day to have a halftime reaction after Tennessee scored, 42 points, 45 points?
I can't even remember. It's in the 40s.
He sits there and when we get our ass kicked and is able to talk, but not after we actually do something. Bad timing from Russ.
Maybe you should just give it up. I don't know. It worked out pretty well.
Maybe.
It's all good. Well,
Appreciate
guys,
the phone
keep up
call,
the
man.
Good work. Have a great day, man. Thanks.
Yes, sir. You too. Let's go back to the phone lines. What do we got next, Davey?
That's a great question, John.
Had,
I believe it's Jake, yes.
Jake joins us on the G3 Help Me hotlines. What's up, Jake?
Hey, guys, come on. Let's let Georgia win a title before we crown them. We know they're going to choke that away at some point.
We got to keep saying that until as long as we can. As long as we can say it, we got to keep saying it. I don't know if we'll be able to after January. They look pretty good, but you're right. They are chokers until they're not, until further proven.
Hey, listen, man, I'm not calling today a signature win for Heupel, but this is exactly the kind of win you have to sell this program.
Yep.
It's pretty clear this team doesn't have a lot of depth. And even the starters aren't, what I would consider first-team SEC caliber players. But this is exactly what you have to do to the middle of the pack in the SEC or even the bottom feeders to rebuild this program.
Yep.
So that was a great win today. I really liked the play calling. I mean, if you're gashing people on the ground, there's no reason to put it in the air. Just keep doing what you're doing. I like to see a lot of the running backs get some rotation in. But, man, it seems like we get banged up a lot on every play. Do you guys see that?
Yeah, we were getting hurt on extra points, it felt like. We had linemen limping off after extra points.
Yeah.
People I was talking to is like, oh, man, what's the strength and conditioning coach doing? Like, he'll get the blame. I don't know if it's his fault that people keep getting rolled up or whatever's happening. But, yeah, it does seem like Tennessee needs to find some way to stay healthy because, they can't afford to keep getting injured. It's still a long season. You still have 7 games left?
Yeah, but, that's not a thing to where I put it on the strength and conditioning coach whenever he's only been here for 6 months.
Sure.
Like, that's it takes 2 years minimum before you start to see the results of a program from at least his job.
Right, but it's just every time someone gets hurt, everyone's screaming at the strength and conditioning coach. And like you said, these are the teams you're competing with right now. Like, it's not a signature win. You're 100% right about that. If this is Heupel's best win by the end of the season, we'll call it, basically average. We'll say, okay, you went 6-6, you beat Missouri, you didn't fail. You did good enough this time, but you're competing with Missouri right now. This is who you have to kind of catch up to and make sure you're ahead of. That's your goal early on as the Tennessee head coach right now because you're not going to catch Alabama, Georgia, and Florida anytime soon. So you got to make sure you're ahead of these programs. And today, Tennessee was.
Yeah, and John, I think it's also important, right, that it's not just close wins either. I mean, blowing out a team like that's what you want to see, right? Yep. Like that's how you get recruits in the door. That's how you get momentum with your program. That's how you build confidence with your players. Like, that is what you want to see. And, again, I'm not completely sold on this Tennessee team. I think this team is still going to take some bad L's this year. But I think if you can continue to string along performances like today, like if you go out and beat South Carolina like this next week too, I mean, that's a hell of momentum for your program.
It's a vision game. Like, you can sell people now, like, here's what this is supposed to look like if it works. Like, if our offense is clicking and we get better players, we should be able to move the ball like this against anybody. This is what it's supposed to look like. You can actually finally say that because, you scheduled Bowling Green and Tennessee Tech to kind of like hopefully show it. You didn't really do it against either one of them, so it's nice to do it on the road against a comparable SEC team right now. Anything else for us?
Nope. Y'all have a good one.
Appreciate you, man. All right, let's go back to the G3 Help Me hotlines. We've got Joe. Joe's in Raleigh. What's up, Joe in Raleigh? Joe, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you. Let's go.
Awesome, man. Hey, really good win today. I still think they left points on the field, on the board, 2 drop passes in the end zone. They didn't have the killer instinct when they had the first possession in the fourth quarter. Yeah, really good win. We cleaned up the penalties, 2 for 20, I think. My only concern is how much further away are we to Georgia, to Alabama, to Florida?
We're not catching them, Joe.
No.
We're far. We're very far away from them.
Yeah, I just had a feeling that most people would call in and say, "Yeah, attaboy, we've had each other on the back," but we are worlds away from beating the signature teams, Georgia, Alabama, and Florida.
I mean, if we're being honest about it, like, do we expect Josh Heupel ever to catch up with those guys? I mean, if we're being realistic about it,
do.
We do. Okay,
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the goal here, isn't it?
Well, that's the goal, but I mean, are you expecting that with the coach that they have in place? That's the question.
If he gets his players in here like he's committed to do, yeah, I think we have a shot maybe in 2 years, maybe 3 years.
Okay.
Not going to happen overnight.
You know, I think, like you said, in theory, like every program should be striving for that, especially Tennessee should be striving to catch up to the rivals. I feel like that's a pretty daunting task with as good as Alabama and Georgia are right now, but maybe you can catch up to them. And maybe like you can at least compete and score points with anybody if your offense is clicking. You are right, though, with your overall point that, Tennessee's not very close to them. I think everyone would agree with that.
No, again, the first possession, fourth quarter, when they couldn't stick it in the end zone, I mean, Heupel needs to instill killer instinct in this team because that's what Georgia would do. That's what Alabama would do. That's what Florida would do. They would show no mercy, to any SEC team, my opinion. Anyway, I know you got other callers. Just want to give my 2 cents.
Yes, sir. Appreciate the phone call. I'm not going to be too hard on Heupel for not, finishing them off with a touchdown.
Yeah, you're up 30 at that point already.
I thought Heupel was doing a pretty good job of showing an instinct to kind of keep the foot on the gas, and they kept kind of running their offense almost to the point that I thought was a detriment whenever you have, some of your starting linemen in there up 30-something. You have Hendon Hooker playing, basically deep into the game. I would have maybe taken, if it was me, I would have maybe taken my foot off the gas a little earlier.
Granted, I understand the idea of wanting to strive to be the best and accept nothing else, but after today's performance, I think just based off what we had seen so far this season, it's one of those things to where I'm not going to try to have any negative comments, even though I do still believe we are far away from catching the Alabamas and the Georgias of the world. But again, it's like, oh, we didn't put our foot on their throats down late. Again, at that point, you want to talk about just struggling. Holy shit, that's a hell of a catch. You want to talk about Ole Miss right there, man, about the injuries we had sustained. That's one of those things you just try to get out of the game at that point. You don't want to sustain any more injuries that's going to impact possibly guys missing further time.
God, what a catch.
That is insane. And then Matt Corral, they'll go for it, though.
Especially whenever you... I mean, I do think Heupel kind of needs to learn his lesson there. I thought he had Cooper Mays into the game way too late against Florida.
Yeah, no, he did. And now you're probably missing him for a couple of games.
Right. I thought he was in way too late. I thought he kind of kept the stars in way too late today. But either way, let's go back to the G3 Help Me hotlines. Let's get Brad. Brad's in Nashville. What up, Brad? Good to talk to you, my friend.
I'm from Crossville, not Nashville.
Oh, sorry, Brad. It was hard to hear. I got another Brad in Nashville that's usually calling in super early. But, hey, man, enjoyed your call last week. And what you got for us this week?
Hey, man, good to talk to you guys again. A couple of things. First of all, I not disagree with Joe. I mean, I didn't see that, taking our foot off their throat, man. I thought, Heupel, whenever we got them down, he kept going forward, going for that, that fourth down right there close to the goal line. I mean, that to me was, like any other coach would have kicked the field goal there. I was happy to see him do it. I mean, just to put more points on the board. Going back, I mean, even before Farmer, I mean, it seems like we always, we get up and instead of playing to win, we'd play not to lose. And I don't see that with him. I mean, I'm not crowning him or anything, and I don't know what Missouri is. I hadn't really seen them play anybody, so it's kind of hard to make an assumption off, how well we played today versus, what, anything we could do in the future. But I did like what I saw today. I seen an offense that was clicking, and that was nice to see.
I don't think we have to make any big statements. Like, I don't think we have to talk today about the future of the program personally. Like, I think, like you said, let's enjoy this victory. We don't have to talk about, a killer instinct at this point. We don't have to talk about whether or not we're catching Alabama or Georgia. We know, like, this is a tall task for any coach, but it feels good just to do what you're supposed to do and kick someone's ass, and Tennessee did that. And I think, this is one of the, few moments of happiness that Tennessee fans have got to experience the last 2 years, and it should be celebrated, just personally. That's how I feel.
Absolutely. And another thing I noticed, we put up more points in the first half than I think Jeremy Pruitt did in the game all season last year. I mean,
against an SEC opponent for sure.
I think we averaged 20
ridiculous.
points a game with him. Like, there's no way we're scoring 45.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and we had was it 24 in the first quarter?
28
24 in the first quarter.
28-3.
28 in the first quarter. Yeah, and another thing that I liked that I saw today that gave me hope. I mean, it doesn't really matter the quality of the opponent you're playing whenever you look at this kind of stuff, but the fact that we played damn near a perfect game. I mean, as far as penalties go, turnovers, things like that. I mean, it was way, way lopsided, against Missouri today. I mean, and I enjoyed seeing that. It looked like, the guys were together. They knew what they were doing when they were out there. You didn't see these stupid penalties, I mean, you had a couple, but, nothing major, nothing that really affected any of our drives. And that was a nice thing to see.
Yep.
I enjoyed that.
Yep, you had one holding penalty. You ended up still scoring on the drive. It wasn't a big deal.
Yep.
I don't even know what the second penalty was. It was sometime in the second half.
I think it might have. Yeah, it was. I don't even remember. But
maybe
that was something. That was something I said. And the zero turnovers. I mean, that was really, really nice to see, because that can make or break a game.
Sure.
I mean, it really can. Especially you get into a close game, you get somebody like Kentucky. The turnover margins really probably at the end of the day, the turnover and the penalties are probably what's going to decide that game between Tennessee and Kentucky. Just to be honest with you.
No, I think that's pretty accurate. I think Tennessee is going to have a good defensive performance. They like to run the ball. So, the improvement of your linebackers, and I think, your safeties played better today, too. I thought
they did. I mean, they were
covering the field.
Pretty good. They were covering the field. They were all over the ball. The line and the linebackers were getting up and getting in the quarterback's face. That was nice to see.
Yep.
I mean, like I said again, I'm reserving judgment on Josh Heupel, till we get a little later on, probably even next year. I mean, I'm not going to make any sweeping judgments on him until we get into the next season, because we really just don't know. And anybody who says they do, is a liar or a fool, one of the two, or maybe both.
I thought he needed to win a couple of coin flip games, and today was one of them. To me, today kind of makes up for the Pittsburgh loss a little bit. I mean, you lost that coin flip game, so nice to respond and actually get one on the road. So there'll be a couple more games. Like, he needs to beat South Carolina. He needs to beat Vanderbilt, obviously. I would like to maybe pull one more upset, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I'd like to see Kentucky be the one for me.
Sure.
If he can win Kentucky, it'd be a lot easier for me to get behind him next season.
For sure. Appreciate the phone call, Brad.
One with me. But guys, I appreciate it. Love the show, man. Y'all keep it real down there.
Appreciate it. We are off and running. 865-546-8200. We are in the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios. 16 deliciously refreshing flavors, only 100 calories. Support the people who support us. White Claw Hard Seltzer. Please drink responsibly. Do we have anybody else on the phone lines ready to go?
Yeah, we got Will up next.
Let's go to Will. What's up, Will? The floor is yours.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir.
I was calling in, obviously fired up about the performance today. You just touched on it a little bit with the secondary. I think with Slaughter and McDonald being in there getting some of those reps, I kind of almost like that better than what we've been rolling out there all season, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that all season long your safeties have been pretty bad, and today you put some different guys in there. And, maybe Missouri just stinks on offense, but they all looked better. Your freshman, Kristen Charles, I know he dropped the interception, but he actually reacted and made a play on one of Missouri's first drives where he, stepped in front of the ball. He dropped it.
Yep.
It would have been a pick six, but he made the play.
But he's right there where
Exactly.
he needed to be. I mean, he's going to make it 9 times out of 10.
Yep.
I really thought the defense, to be honest with you, the first half performance, obviously you're looking at the offense, but I think the defense probably had just as good of a half as the offense when you consider I think Tennessee had about 7 minutes of possession, and you're keeping them at 10 points in the first half. Got a huge turnover. That's essentially a score from Banks.
Yep.
And, I mean, that first drive, we're pretty lucky or second drive, pretty lucky that they only got 3 off the holding. But, I mean, you're going to win a lot with that kind of defensive performance with this offense. And I think that is just as big of a story as the offense today.
Pretty funny to look at the time of possession, especially in the first half, and see what the actual score was, because some people think time of possession is the end-all, be-all. You don't have to hold the ball long if you score. That's one of the things I've been preaching. Like, I do think at times this offense needs to slow down. Like, I do think at times it's going to wear Tennessee's defense down.
Well, and they did it in the second half.
Right. They did. But, like, in the first half, you can go as fast as you want if you're scoring 40 points. Like, with Tennessee, sometimes they go fast and it doesn't equal points. Whenever you're scoring touchdowns, go as fast as you want.
Yeah, and at a point in the game, I looked at it, we had it 4:56, 19 plays, 35 points.
Yep.
And that's insane. But last point I kind of wanted to make, and don't misinterpret this as I don't think we miss him or anything like that, but when Gray left, I felt like that was going to be one of the biggest impact losses. And really, Ty looked good, and there isn't as big of a drop-off there, and I think compared to some of the other transfers, certainly the linemen, that's not really killing us right now. I think we've got the kind of running backs we need.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right about that. When Eric Gray left, it was really, really sad. Tennessee fans loved him. He was really good. And, I do think that both Tyon Evans and Jabari Small have been really good at picking up the slack. It doesn't seem like there's much of a drop-off. Now, they've been helped some by the scheme and whatnot, but both those guys run hard. They're fast. They're good. I think, if Tyon Evans plays against Pittsburgh, maybe you win that game. If Jabari Smalls doesn't get knocked out, the last play of the first half, you might win that game. But,
certainly wouldn't have hurt on that 4th and 1 or whatever it was. But
100%.
Yeah.
Anything else?
End of the day, this is the biggest 2-game stretch of the season, and the first half of that 2-game stretch couldn't have gone any better.
100%.
I don't think.
Appreciate the phone call, brother.
And then win those 2. We got a big one at Ole Miss. Not looking ahead, but you hear me.
It'll be a good atmosphere. Like, you'll probably be, I don't know what the 3:30 game would be that weekend. I don't think it would be there, but you maybe get a night game, or is that the week that Alabama and A&M play? Are they have the night game already?
That's a
like
good
on
question.
CBS?
I'll double check.
We'll figure it out. But I appreciate the phone call, man. 865-546-8200 if you want to hop on the G3 Help Me hotlines. We're wide open right now, Davey. We got somebody on there.
We are wide open.
We are wide open. They came in droves just then. Ole Miss. What do you like? I get it. I get it, Lane Kiffin. I'm not judging, but it just seemed like they ran the same play on every 4th down, and eventually Alabama stopped them on 4th and 1 on the 5-yard line. Impressive drive by Ole Miss, but didn't equal any points. And now Alabama taking it back down the field the other way as they are on Ole Miss's 37.
That week we play Ole Miss. Alabama is playing Mississippi State, not A&M.
Okay.
So that one's still kind of up in the air. I mean, you got Florida, LSU, Auburn at Arkansas, Kentucky at Georgia. So we'll kind of see what happens there.
If Tennessee gets to 4-2, I mean, I guess Ole Miss winning against Alabama would make that pretty much a slam dunk at 3:30. But I think at least the noon curse will be broken. I think at the worst, the noon curse will be broken because they're not going to put Tennessee, Ole Miss at noon, I wouldn't think. Like, assuming Tennessee beats South Carolina with the history of Lane Kiffin, the firepower of Ole Miss, the storylines of him coming back to Knoxville as a head coach, like that would get at least an ESPN2 treatment.
I dropped that. Did he fumble it?
But he got it back. Let's go back to the G3 Help Me hotlines. Let's get Carter. What's up, Carter? The floor is yours.
Hi, boys. How are we doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Not a bad day. I'm out here in Southern California.
Hey.
So Vols win. I'm out in SoCal. We're doing good. But no, I think I've been saying it for weeks to my friends, the Nega Balls, but Heupel may not be the guy, but he's definitely poised to set the stage for the guy, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people would say that's kind of his best case scenario is to really set the stage here and get Tennessee healthy. You know, I would say those guys usually are typically better recruiters, but maybe it picks up. Like, we'll see. I think this is a big chance for some momentum, especially offensively. So we'll see how that goes. Heupel had a great game plan coming out in the first quarter. I think he really can scheme stuff up in the first quarter. That's something that's important with coaching, and he had a good performance today.
Absolutely. And, I mean, I understand that Ole Miss, not to be looking ahead or whatever, but just watching this game now, I've got family in Oxford, so I'm biased. Hate them with a passion. Burn in hell, the trainers. But I really think Oxford and Ole Miss is going to get exposed in this game. I really don't think they're as good. I mean, they're obviously a much better team than they've been in the past. But I don't think they're this world beater that they're just going to walk into Knoxville and it's a guaranteed out. I think if we come in, head screwed on straight, that's an upset game that we can look forward to.
That would do a lot for Josh Heupel.
Carter, what do you expect to happen today for them against Bama?
I think it's going to be a game for the first. I think it's honestly not going to be an us and Florida game. I think they're going to come in and go into the half, and they're going to be trailing Bama by 3 or 7, and Bama's going to come out and do what Bama does, is just blow the doors off people. Because at the end of the day, they are all pissed. They are doomed to mediocrity, if you ask me. And again, I'm biased. I hate my family in Oxford, but that's all I got, boys. Go Vols, and let's pick up a couple more upsets.
It would be nice. Appreciate the phone call. I hope we beat Ole Miss for you, my friend. Well, for other reasons, but for you and your family that you hate. Do you think did he actually hate their family, or is it just kind
I was more of a do I hate the family or just the fact that they're Ole Miss fans?
Right, like is it like a sports hate,
or
is
it's
it like,
more of just like this family fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Like go to fucking hell, kind of thing.
Always talking shit about us, asking us for money, never pay us back, make it awkward.
I don't know.
Mean to grandpa.
Maybe he can tweet at us. It's just like, I want this family to like rot in hell. I really couldn't tell you based off that phone call alone.
Used to steal from grandpa. Worthless. Got more of the inheritance. I don't know. 865-546-8200. Phone lines are open. Alabama going down the field against Ole Miss in a game that everyone thought was going to be really high scoring. It's been pretty slow so far with some sustained drives.
Is that a catch?
I thought it was a catch.
I did too. I'm curious to see. I thought the replay officials in the Tennessee game is pretty shitty job on their part. It's just like, I mean, you look at the system, it's, all right, you got to have indisputable evidence to overturn something, or it's like, it needs to be clear, and it's a lot of times like the Tyon Evans touchdown. I didn't think his knee was down. I would have gave him his 4th touchdown of the game in the first half. It was, I don't know, it's weird. It's if you're wanting to do this shit, like make sure it's actually correct.
That play drove me crazy just because we stopped for a 3-minute review when it was like, 35-10? And you knew that they were going to turn around and score right afterwards. Anyways, you had already picked up the first down. I get it, but I was like, come on, man, 3 minutes for this? Like, do we really care? Missouri defense obviously didn't care. They let Hooker walk right in the end zone afterwards. Let's just go ahead and shut this down, please. Let's go ahead and give them the touchdown because it's not clear. And also, we all know that Tennessee is going to score because Missouri had zero interest in tackling at that point. Also keeping an eye on the top 10 matchup. Cincinnati up 10-0. Notre Dame keeps shooting themselves in the foot. Jack Cohn looks terrible. Cincinnati hasn't done anything. They got a interception that got them set up in 1st and goal. They ended up scoring a touchdown, and then Notre Dame fumbled the ensuing kickoff.
Oof.
It's one of those fumbles where I
really hate to have money on Notre Dame.
Yeah. I can't imagine what poor bastard would have that going right now. Let's go back to the G3 Help Me hotlines. Let's get Brad. This is Brad in Nashville.
Yes.
Good to hear from you, my friend.
Hey, brother. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Not bad. Not bad. I guess we just kicked the dog shit out of them, huh?
We did. It's always nice to do. Is that all you got, Brad? Sounds good. We kicked the dog shit out of them. Well said.
Not for a sec. Sorry about that.
You're good.
But yeah, we just kicked the shit out of them. We scored in 6 straight touchdowns, 6 straight drives. So, like you're saying, man, I mean, like, yeah, they're tired, but if you win a game by 40 points, does it matter? I mean, it's a little bit of physical exertion that actually goes into football. But we did good. And it's been a while since I've seen a team that we played quit. And that was nice to see.
They quit early, too. They quit early. They melted in basically halfway through the first quarter. It was like, this doesn't seem good. We're so bad at tackling. We are so bad at tackling. I didn't want to overreact, but at one point I was getting ready to tweet out that was the worst SEC defense I've ever seen. I'm sure there's been some worse, but they might be the worst.
Yeah, man, it's been a minute. Bowling Green put up more of a fight than that.
100%. Tennessee Tech did, honestly.
Yeah. I mean,
we had our way.
It's worth, kicked worlds of ass. Aim the same guns at South Carolina next week and see how far you get. And I think it should be enough. I mean, if we play like we did today, I'm sure South Carolina will put up more of a fight, but I feel very good about that football game.
I'm curious as to what the spread will be now. Before the game, projections I think had it around 7. I'd be surprised if it goes up drastically whenever you see Tennessee kind of click like that. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. It's been a minute, and it was fun to watch. So you guys take it easy.
Appreciate you, Brad. Let's keep it rolling. Who we got next? We got Jim up next.
Jim in Johnson City.
Jim in Johnson City. What's up, Jim?
Hey, I wanted to get your take, John, on the I know that you're kind of not super confident in Heupel long term, and the reason is for recruiting.
Right.
Which, I for sure agree that his recruiting has not been great so far. But I was wondering what your take was on the possibility that maybe he's holding out a lot of spots open for trying to get guys from the transfer portal. Because, a lot of our players right now are from the transfer portal who are, starting. So
yeah, I was having a discussion with my friends about this. Do you want to build a team through the transfer portal? He might be doing that, and maybe that's the best way to try to piece together something. But it feels like most of the time the guys in the transfer portal aren't going to be great. I feel like it's going to be somebody who's kind of fell through the cracks at a worse school that's going to be trying to either step up or has been benched at a better school. Do you think that's a sustainable way to do it and the best way to build a program? I feel like we'd obviously be better off getting good freshmen. But I don't know.
I don't think it's a good long-term plan, but
sure.
in the short term, it might work because he
sure.
can see he can see their college tape and he knows what they're like more than a high school player. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, definitely Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker has given you more than what most freshmen would give you at this point, for sure. As is, Peyton looks pretty good as well. So, there are some hits. Now, every now and then there are going to be some misses, some guys that transfer in that you're just kind of okay, what exactly are you going to do here? Maybe it's a higher success rate.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted your take on that. So, thanks.
I think if he gets guys that pan out, then, it's a good thing. But, I still think eventually you need at least 20 good freshmen coming in, to kind of build some sustainability. Maybe he picks up. Like I said, with the way this performance is, I would call every offensive recruit we have right now or that we're targeting and just make sure they saw what happened this weekend.
Right.
Yeah. We let everybody eat. Receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, everybody had some good stats. Did you see it? What'd you think?
Right. All righty. I'll see you. Bye.
Yeah, appreciate the phone call, man. Davey, where do you come down on that?
I would definitely start by trying to get some high school guys to build the style of play you're looking for. I understand you probably want to have a couple of, if there's a couple of guys that you really view as, all right, these transfers can make an immediate impact and I have a couple of years out of them, by all means go for it. But right now you're kind of in a gray area where it's just, I don't know exactly who's going to be available at that time. And so I wouldn't be banking on making sure that the transfer portal was kind of my primary option. I understand why some of the, we'll say the high school recruits are a little hesitant on committing to this program. You haven't seen a whole lot out of Tennessee. There's so much turnover to where it's one of those things, if you're wanting to play for a guy for a long period of time, you might not have that idea of, hey, I definitely see that they're setting up something that's going to be successful long term. But at the end of the day, I would make high school guys my priority.
Captain Touchback writes in that after today's performance, Heupel has his attention in a positive way. So that's a good thing. It's not a signature win, as we talked about, but it's a big win.
John, I do have an update as well. Carter says, I hate the family, and then in parentheses, with the exception of my mother. I hate the town. I hate the people. Mouth-breathing gag of inbred hicks. If any of them could count to 20, I'd be shocked.
Okay, we got our answer there. Lane going for 4th and 2 on his 48. I mean, we'll see if he actually snaps it. I'd kind of be surprised here, but if you're Ole Miss, let's face it, you're not going to stop Alabama. They've already broken your serve once.
Ball.
He snapped it.
He's
4th
putting
and 2.
it in the air. Run, buddy.
They're going to be stopped.
Shit. That's out of bounds.
You know, Lane, I understand the aggression, but, buddy, you're going to dig yourself an early hole here. As they did not get it. The guy was open. He just couldn't get away to throw to him. Yeah.
Need a big defensive stop right here.
Defense needs to bail you out, which is going to be tough after you just told them basically you don't believe in them by going for that. But
hey, you can make the argument. I just have a lot of faith in my offense.
Sure. Lane flying close to the sun there. He's gone for a bunch of 4th downs. They got stopped inside the 5-yard line and now stopped on the other side of the 50. Alabama could make this ugly for them in a hurry. Let's go back to the G3 Help Me hotlines. Let's get Steve. What's up, Steve? The floor is yours.
What's going on?
Oh, just doing a show, buddy. What are you doing?
Man, we kicked ass today. It was insane.
It was?
Yeah, I was very impressed with Heupel. I was very impressed with our defense. I think Tim Banks done a great job. Everybody hating on old Heupel for leaving what's his name, Hooker in too long. That's ridiculous. Let's enjoy this win. We kicked ass. What do you think?
I think it feels good, man. We don't get to do it a lot around here, so I think we should celebrate every victory we can get, especially when it's against a SEC school and you absolutely dominate them.
It was an SEC school. We dominated them, and, and supposedly this Drinkwitch is supposed to be this quarterback master and everything. We took him to the cleaners, man. We whooped his ass. So, I think we've got a lot of SEC wins in front of us. I think Kentucky's a plus win. I think South Carolina, we're going to beat the hell out of them. I mean, there's no reason not to be up on this team.
I like the energy.
Yes,
the energy.
Sir.
So
Yes,
you think Tennessee beats Kentucky? Is that what you said?
Oh, I don't see why not. I mean, Kentucky struggled with Missouri, if you look at it.
Did you watch that game by chance?
I did not watch it, but
I watched it, and I came out thinking in that game that Kentucky actually whipped their ass, but Kentucky just kept making dumb turnovers. I thought, on the field, Kentucky was having their way with them, kind of like we were, but they fumbled once going into the end zone. They definitely let Missouri move the ball better against them, but I didn't think that game was actually terribly close, or should have been at least.
Okay, well, that's fair. I mean, so we'll only whip Kentucky by 3 touchdowns,
There we
right?
go. There we go.
All right, brother. Take it easy, man.
Hey, I appreciate the phone call. Yeah, that was a strange, final score. I thought Kentucky kind of manhandled Missouri. Now, Kentucky's definitely come back to earth a little bit. We saw them struggle against UTC. That game last week against South Carolina was ugly. I'm not going to judge them too much just because that was kind of a whatever game right before the big one tonight against Florida. Kentucky 7.5-point dogs. David, do you think Kentucky covers tonight, or you got Florida?
Give me the Gators.
Big?
I say by about 14 points.
Really?
Yeah. I think Florida will give them a fight. I think Kentucky will give a fight in the first half, but at the end of the day, I think Dan Mullen's smart enough to outcoach Mark, and I think Kentucky fans will have a chance. There'll be that glimmer of hope, but ultimately they'll have defeat as usual.
See, I think Kentucky is going to keep it close and maybe win. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm not there, man. I think Anthony Richardson's also going to be able to play, and I think that'll be a difference maker for Florida. I really do think they rested him against us, thinking it wouldn't be much of a battle, and now they're just like, all right, we got our first test in a while. We're just going to unleash them on these poor fools.
Yeah. I mean, you might be right there. You might be right there.
But hey, man, take the win for the Vols today, 62-24. Like I said, didn't expect it, but I'll gladly go to sleep tonight thinking we kicked their damn ass.
Feels good. Feels good. 865-546-8200. We've taken a good number of phone calls. I have nothing else to say about the
I know. We need more phone calls. Like if you guys
have them, I don't want to get out of here in an hour.
Well, I mean that's the thing. It's like I'm going to Craven Wings as soon as this is over. So it's like if you guys aren't feeling like calling in, that's just the sooner I get to eat.
I've said my piece. Davey, you will be on the radio Monday morning at 7 o'clock, correct?
Correct.
I will be on the radio at noon on Monday, so we will have more to say there. The voluntary reaction is built for the callers. We've let a lot of people get their words off their chest. Again, it's a big win. There's not a lot to complain about. Really nothing to complain about.
I think a lot of people are just shocked. Like, I don't really know what to say. Like, I mean, like, again, it's one of those things. Like, I know a lot of people expected to win. I put a poll out. 84% of Tennessee of fans thought Tennessee would win the game. But the way in which it went down, something else.
Sure. I mean, I don't think people saw, that level of blowout coming, but I thought it was a game that Tennessee should have won. I thought they had more talent. And quite frankly, I thought it was more important to Tennessee, who needs, some positive reinforcement here. That probably felt good about the way they played at in Gainesville, at least for the first half. And then probably left with a little bit of a bad taste in their mouth. So you try to come back and show, like, hey, we're more of the team in the first half than the team in the second half. You had a pretty crisp performance. You still had a couple of drops, but none like wide open drops. A couple of contested drops in the end zone. Let's go back to the phone lines. We got Clint.
We got respectful volunteer fan up first.
Respectful volunteer fan up first. Thank you for joining us on the G3 Help Me hotlines.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, and go Vols. Good Lord.
We were not very respectful to Missouri.
Well, no, we weren't. We were distinguished in that ass whooping is what we were.
We were.
I am completely blown away by that. I expected them to win. I had a bet with my cousin who lives in Knoxville that I was thinking they were going to hang 35 for the game. Little did I know they were going to hang, 35 in one friggin' half of football. Sure. It was certainly not what I expected. And I don't think a whole hell of a lot of Vols fans expected it. I mean, a lot of people that watched them and kind of know, I think, knew that we were going to win. I mean, it was easy money. If you bet the line, that's certainly the money line. The points. But I am thoroughly impressed with, and I don't know what Heupel did with Hendon Hooker, but maybe he needs to kind of half-ass get hurt more often because he came back and played like a champ. That's a fact.
Hendon Hooker has played really well. I was a little frustrated when he first got in the Pittsburgh game. It seemed as if Heupel didn't trust him at first. They kind of changed the offense and had some training wheels on until, Tennessee kind of fell behind and had to go. Hendon Hooker's pretty solid, and he hits the throws that you need to hit in this offense. He's not perfect by any means, don't get me wrong. He's an average SEC starter, but if you scheme him properly, you can score some points like you did today.
Well, and that's my point is, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, for the first couple of games, I'm thinking this guy can't hit the broadside of a barn, but he's got legs and he's got vision. And that's what impressed me today was him being able to read coverage and be able to make decisions on the fly that I hadn't really seen him play before. Davey, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I've not exactly seen that from Hendon Hooker to this point, and so the fact that he's starting to I think he's starting to understand the offense, and if anything, that's only going to get me a little bit more excited to see what he's able to do for the second half of the season.
I think he has good vision when he runs the football too. I think he's very good at running the football.
Absolutely. Well, and how about this? How about knowing who your friggin' starting quarterback is going to be, and that's what you sort of play towards? That's a novel idea, isn't it?
I've been a little frustrated at the way, he's kind of been juggling these quarterbacks so far this year. So it's nice to kind of see that Hooker should, nail this spot down. There won't be any more questions about Joe Milton. This should be put to bed. And now, like you said, you can start building a game plan around him. And, and also I think it's important that Tennessee fans should feel good about their starting quarterback for the first time in, 4 years, 5 years?
2016.
5 years for me, and that's being conservative.
Yep. Anything else for me, respectful Vol fan?
No, not at all. Go Vols. I'm thoroughly impressed. I absolutely went into this game with no expectations. I did expect a win, but I didn't expect an ass whipping, and that was exactly what they doled out. That was great to watch. Thanks, guys.
I bid you adieu, good sir. Is that right? I bid you adieu? I don't know. What does that mean?
I think technically that's right. I won't be able to give you the exact phrase of what that means.
I bid you adieu, good sir. Let's go back to the G3.
Yeah, Clint dropped.
Oh, he dropped?
Yeah.
Didn't want to follow up the
that was an asshole move. It's like Clint, you're not going to have to wait long. He's like, all right, fuck it, I'll just drop.
Okay. Well, let's do a little 2-minute warning here. I did my hour. I'm good. Contract says I just have to do 15 minutes, so at least we exceeded that.
I am, as T. Fair would say, craving wings. So
we get it. You're hungry, bro. We get it. How are you eating wings? Didn't you just eat like 60 of them? How are you eating more wings?
I ate 50 wings. I was actually going to get the chicken tenders.
I thought you ate 50. They kept saying you ate 60. I was like, I thought I saw us tweeting. It said 50.
It was 50. I mean, I'll take credit for 60, but it was only 50. And
that was like what, last week? You're ready to get back on?
That was last Thursday, man.
You're ready to get back on the wagon?
I'm ready to go back, man. Saturday after a win, pick them up, go to the house, watch some more football.
To say Chase Young has had a lot of time here to throw the ball.
Bryce Young, he's still tackle his ass.
He fell down after that. What? That is the worst.
His damn lineman pushed him forward.
Ole Miss, I guess, is doing the thing where they're trying to, just drop everybody back in coverage.
Now they're acting like they're hurt.
I think that guy was legitimately slow to get up, but like they're dropping everyone back in coverage on 3rd and goal from the 5, and I called him Chase Young, but yes, Bryce Young just kind of chilling back there for a while, and then was able to make 2 guys miss and almost get in the end zone.
You got any good bets for tomorrow?
Apparently someone doesn't listen to Talk Sports. My NFL picks have been pretty shit on the show, so actually
I was here for the first part of your show yesterday or on Friday, but
yeah. I've been doing really good with my college picks so far. Me and Cam have both been doing well. NFL, my picks, I'm under 500, so I'm not going to tell you I have any good picks.
My over-unders have been fire, but my against the spreads in the NFL have not been ideal.
If you or a loved one has been injured in an accident, the Knoxville-based law offices of G. Turner Howard III can help you get the compensation that you deserve. At G3, you matter most. Visit g3helpme.com or call them at 865-401-8214 to get help now. That's g3helpme.com. Again, g3helpme.com. We appreciate them sponsoring the phone lines that have helped make this show possible. We appreciate White Claw for having us some studios to do these shows in. We appreciate the callers. Davey, I appreciate you for running it. I got nothing else to say. I'll be on Talk Sports at noon.
I'm right there with you, man. I'll see you all bright and early at 7.
Yeah, you won't be right there with me. But
well, yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying. Like tomorrow or Monday, it's coming.
Goodbye, my friend. We will, talk about it on Monday.
I bid you adieu, John.
I bid you adieu or farewell, whichever the one it is. I don't know. See ya.